Timothée Chalamet is one of Hollywood's brightest stars. The boyish face with the brooding charm, the actor who can move seamlessly from indie films to blockbusters. With his rising fame has come endless speculation about his personal life. Every red carpet glance, every paparazzi photo, every whispered rumor is picked apart by fans desperate to know who he's really dating. On the surface, Timothée has always been careful. He plays coy in interviews, keeps his private life under wraps, and avoids confirming anything he doesn't want the world to know. But behind the cameras, there's a story few people realize, a secret relationship that he and his partner tried desperately to hide from the spotlight. It wasn't just a casual fling. It was a bond that unfolded quietly, away from the flashing lights and gossip columns. For months, maybe even years, the truth remained tucked behind closed doors, guarded by friends, masked by distractions, and denied by both parties whenever the rumors grew too loud. So why did they try to keep it hidden? And how long can a secret like that really last in the age of constant exposure? Today, we dive into the secret relationship Timothée Chalamet never wanted the world to uncover, the rise of Timothée Chalamet, and the pressure of privacy. Timothée Chalamet's story is one of those rare Hollywood tales where talent and timing collided perfectly. Born in New York City in 1995, Timothée was raised in a creative environment that shaped his path from an early age. With a French father and an American mother who worked in Broadway, his world was steeped in art, language, and performance. From the very beginning, he seemed destined to stand out. His early career started with small roles in television and minor films, but everything changed in 2017. Call Me by Your Name catapulted him to international fame. At just 21 years old, Timothée gave a performance so raw and vulnerable that critics hailed him as a generational talent. He became the youngest Best Actor nominee at the Oscars in nearly 80 years. Overnight, he wasn't just another actor trying to break through, he was Hollywood's new obsession. But with sudden fame comes sudden scrutiny. Timothée quickly discovered that being hailed as the next great actor also meant surrendering much of his private life. Fans didn't just want to know about his films, they wanted to know everything: what he ate, what he wore, who he kissed, and who he loved. Social media amplified this hunger, with every candid photo and every whispered rumor turning into global headlines. The intensity of this attention shaped the way Timothée handled relationships. Unlike many young stars who flaunt their romances, he seemed determined to keep his private life out of the spotlight. Interviews revealed his caution. He would dodge questions about girlfriends, answer vaguely about his dating history, and often redirect the conversation back to his work. To some, it was just shyness. To others, it was strategy. In reality, it was both. Timothée knew that the moment he confirmed anything, it would stop being his. It would belong to the world. This caution was tested early. Paparazzi photos of him kissing actress Lily Rose Depp in 2018 became one of the internet's most viral celebrity moments. Lily Rose, the daughter of Johnny Depp and Vanessa Paradis, was already famous in her own right, and their romance seemed like a dream pairing, the French-American heartthrob and the French-American model actress. The world devoured the images, dissecting every angle of their kiss in Capri, Italy. But while the internet was busy celebrating Chalamet, Timothée was privately horrified. He later admitted in interviews that he found the photos embarrassing, not because of Lily Rose, but because their intimacy had been turned into a spectacle. To him, it felt less like a moment between two people and more like a performance forced upon them by cameras they didn't invite. That experience became a turning point. It made him realize how fragile his privacy was and how badly he wanted to protect it. From that moment on, secrecy became part of his personal life. Anytime he was linked to someone, whether it was Isa Gonzalez in 2020 or later rumored flings with models and musicians, he refused to comment. Even when paparazzi photos circulated, Timothée rarely confirmed or denied anything. To him, silence was safer than validation. He understood that once he confirmed a relationship, it would no longer be his. It would belong to gossip blogs, TikTok edits, and endless fan theories. This culture of obsession created the perfect storm for secrecy. Fans weren't just curious, they were relentless. Online communities tracked his movements, analyzed who he was seen with, and even speculated about his friendships. To protect the people he cared about, Timothée had to draw firm boundaries. and sometimes those boundaries meant hiding relationships entirely. Why was this secrecy so important? Because Timothee's career was built on an image of authenticity and vulnerability. His performances in films like Beautiful Boy, Lady Bird, and Dune showed him as sensitive, soulful, and relatable. If his personal life became overexposed, it risked clashing with the mystique that made him so appealing. For an actor, especially one so young, mystique is currency. The less the public knows, the more they project. Timothée understood this instinctively. But there was another layer. Hollywood can be ruthless toward young stars who are defined more by their romances than their work. Timothée didn't want to be reduced to tabloid fodder. He wanted to be remembered for his films, not for who he was holding hands with. This meant that when he did enter into deeper relationships, secrecy wasn't just a preference, it was survival. Behind the scenes, those who know him say Timothée has always been protective of the people he dates. He doesn't want them to face harassment, judgment, or the endless comparisons that come with being linked to a global star. His secretiveness isn't only about protecting himself, it's about protecting them. And in at least one case, that meant conducting a relationship almost entirely out of the public eye. Fans have long speculated about this hidden chapter in his life, a relationship that didn't appear on Instagram, that never made it into red carpet photos, and that both Timothée and his partner denied whenever rumors surfaced. But if you look closely at the patterns, the quiet disappearances from the spotlight, the cryptic interviews, the sudden absences, the outline of something real begins to appear. This is the foundation for Timothée's secret relationship. It wasn't about shame. It wasn't about scandal. It was about carving out a corner of his life that still belonged only to him. In a world where every kiss could be turned into a meme and every dinner date could spark global speculation, secrecy became the only way to keep something pure. By 2025, Timothée has mastered this balance. On screen, he gives the world everything. Performances that break hearts and spark debates. Off screen, he gives the world almost nothing. That silence is not emptiness. It's a shield. And behind that shield lies the story of a relationship the world wasn't supposed to see, one that reveals more about the man than any role he's ever played. Because in the end, Timothée Chalamet's greatest performance may not be in front of the camera. It may be the way he's managed to live a love story in secret, in an age when secrecy itself feels impossible. The secret romance, love in the shadows. In the world of Hollywood, keeping a relationship private is nearly impossible. Paparazzi swarm airports, fans analyze social media posts, and gossip outlets piece together stories from the smallest details. And yet, for a time, Timothée Chalamet managed to do just that. Nurture a relationship away from the spotlight, a romance so carefully guarded that it became one of his best-kept secrets. How it began. The relationship reportedly began in the most understated way, not at a high-profile event or through a viral red carpet introduction, but through mutual friends. Those who knew Timothée best say that the connection started quietly, far from the public stage. Unlike many of his past relationships, which were linked to equally famous partners, this one involved someone less accustomed to the glare of worldwide attention. That alone made secrecy crucial. Timothée, already cautious from past experiences, made it clear early on that he wanted to protect this bond. He knew that once the press caught even the slightest glimpse, the story would spiral into something larger than the relationship itself. This wasn't about shame. It was about preservation, keeping something real in a life where everything else felt exposed. The methods of secrecy. To pull this off, Timothée and his partner developed strategies that went beyond the usual no-comment responses. They avoided the places where paparazzi camped out, choosing private dinners or low-key gatherings with trusted friends. Travel was arranged discreetly, sometimes under the radar, sometimes using private connections to avoid being seen at airports. Social media became another battleground. Fans are adept at spotting even the smallest hints of romance online. A shared location tag, a glimpse of the same furniture in two different posts, a subtle lyric in a caption. Knowing this, both Timothée and his partner were careful. Posts were curated, timelines delayed, and in some cases, accounts went silent altogether to avoid leaving a digital breadcrumb trail. Even interviews became carefully choreographed dances. When asked about his love life, Timothée often smiled, laughed off the question, or redirected to his work. It wasn't just media training, it was deliberate avoidance. He understood that a single confirmation would unleash a flood of attention neither of them wanted. Silence, in this case, was safer than honesty. The highs of hidden love. For a while, the secrecy worked. Friends described the relationship as refreshingly normal, built on late-night conversations, shared passions, and the kind of intimacy that thrives away from the glare of cameras. Unlike the public romances that forced Timothée to live under constant scrutiny, this private chapter allowed him to simply be himself. No expectations, no labels, no endless comparisons. In many ways, the secrecy strengthened the bond. Every hidden meeting, every coded message, every successfully avoided headline became a victory. They weren't just dating, they were outsmarting the system. For two people living under different levels of fame, secrecy wasn't just protection, it was connection. It created a sense of us against the world, a quiet rebellion against an industry that devours personal lives for profit. The strain of silence. But secrecy also comes with a cost. While hiding a relationship protects it from outside interference, it also forces it into the shadows. There are no public dates, no Instagram posts declaring love, no freedom to walk hand in hand without fear of exposure. For Timothée and his partner, this meant living in two realities, one where their connection was genuine and nurturing, and another where they had to pretend it didn't exist. This strain grew heavier as time went on. Friends noticed how difficult it became for the partner to adjust to the invisible rules of dating someone like Timothée. While Timothée was used to being elusive, his partner sometimes struggled with the constant need for secrecy. Not being able to celebrate milestones publicly or even acknowledge the relationship openly was hard. Over time, what started as protection began to feel like a cage. The cracks appear. No secret in Hollywood lasts forever. Eventually, cracks began to appear. A blurry photo here, a suspicious sighting there. The gossip world is relentless in its pursuit. One paparazzi shot of Timothée at an airport was cross-referenced with a social media post from someone in his partner's circle, and suddenly, whispers began. Then came the speculation online. Fans noticed the way Timothée's schedule lined up with his partner's travels, the way certain songs or quotes seemed to echo between them. In the age of digital sleuthing, even the best efforts at secrecy are vulnerable to discovery. When rumors began surfacing in gossip columns, both Timothée and his partner denied or ignored them. To the press, there was nothing to see. But to those watching closely, the pieces were starting to fit. The world didn't have the full picture, but it had enough to sense that something was there. Why they hid it? The bigger question is, why go to such lengths to hide a relationship? For Timothée, the answer was layered. First, there was protection. He had seen what happened with Lily Rose Depp, how one paparazzi photo could overshadow the relationship itself. He didn't want this new romance to be defined by viral moments or public judgment. Second, there was respect. His partner wasn't a celebrity in the same sense, and exposing them to relentless media attention would have been unfair. By keeping things secret, Timothée gave them a chance to experience love without the trauma of internet commentary. Finally, there was survival. In Hollywood, young actors are constantly reduced to their dating lives. Every romance becomes a headline, every breakup a scandal. By keeping this relationship under wraps, Timothée was able to keep the focus on his work, ensuring that his reputation remained tied to his acting rather than his personal choices. The turning point. Eventually, though, the balance became unsustainable. Secrets are exhausting, especially when they involve matters of the heart. What had once felt like freedom began to feel like suppression. The cracks that began with gossip eventually grew into real pressure on the relationship. Did they end things because of the secrecy? Or did secrecy simply mask the natural end of a love story? Those close to Timothée say it was a mix of both, that while the bond was strong, the constant hiding wore it down. What remains clear is that for Timothée, the experience reinforced his belief that privacy is not optional, it is essential. The world may never know the full truth of this relationship, who it was, how long it lasted, or why it ended, but the very fact that it existed in secret says more about Timothée than any public romance ever could. He isn't just a talented actor navigating fame, He's a young man trying to hold on to something real in a world determined to strip away every layer of privacy. And if there's one thing his secret relationship shows us, it's that even in Hollywood, where secrets rarely survive, love can still find a way to exist, if only in the shadows. The fallout, the lessons, and Timothée's future in love. For months, maybe years, Timothée Chalamet and his secret partner managed to guard their romance from the outside world. They had built it carefully. Coded text messages, hidden dinners, private escapes far from Los Angeles or Paris. For a time, secrecy worked, but in Hollywood, secrets don't stay hidden forever. And eventually, the walls around their love story began to crack. The first signs of unraveling. The initial slip was small. A grainy paparazzi photo at an airport showed Timothée with someone who looked suspiciously familiar. At first, gossip sites brushed it off, but fans began connecting dots. Social media detectives noticed overlaps in travel schedules, blurry reflections in mirror selfies, and suspiciously timed absences from both their feeds. Then came whispers from the industry itself. Assistants, stylists, and background figures who worked on sets or at events quietly leaked hints. The whispers didn't confirm names, but they confirmed the existence of something. By the time the tabloids caught wind, the secret was already slipping away. For Timothée, this was the beginning of the end of control. The relationship had survived by staying invisible. Now, with speculation growing louder, invisibility was gone. Every outing risked exposure. Every text felt like a potential leak. The burden of secrecy, already heavy, became unbearable. The fallout. When the relationship finally ended, the reasons were complex, but secrecy was at the heart of it. What had once felt like protection had become suffocation. Timothée's partner reportedly struggled with the constant hiding, the inability to be seen, to be acknowledged, to live freely in love. For Timothée, secrecy was survival. For them, it became isolation. Breakups in Hollywood are often public spectacles, but this one was different. It dissolved quietly, away from the headlines, just as it had begun. There were no statements, no messy public drama. To the world, it was as though the relationship never happened. But to Timothée, it was proof of how fragile love can be under the crushing weight of fame. In private, the fallout left him questioning everything. Could he ever truly love without the world interfering? Could he ever find a relationship that didn't demand secrecy? Or was secrecy the only way to keep anything real? These questions haunted him, shaping the way he viewed romance in the years that followed. The public versus the private self. What this secret relationship revealed was something larger than just love. It revealed Timothée's ongoing struggle with his dual identity. Publicly, he is the charming star, magnetic, approachable, seemingly effortless in interviews and red carpets. Privately, he is cautious, guarded, and fiercely protective of the few things he has left to himself. This duality isn't unique to him, but in Timothée's case, it is amplified by his image. He has been cast as Hollywood's sensitive heartthrob, the young actor who represents vulnerability and authenticity. But the irony is that the more the world demands his authenticity, the more he must protect it with secrecy. The hidden romance was a symptom of this paradox, giving his heart quietly while the world demanded to consume it loudly. Lessons learned from the fallout came lessons, not just for Timothée, but for anyone watching closely. Secrecy protects, but it also isolates. The relationship proved that hiding can keep outsiders away, but it can also prevent partners from experiencing normal milestones, going out publicly, celebrating anniversaries, and introducing each other openly. For Timothée, secrecy was necessary. For his partner, it became unsustainable. Fame is incompatible with privacy, unless you fight for it. The cracks in the secret romance showed that in today's world, even the most careful stars cannot hide forever. But it also proved that if you value privacy above publicity, it is possible, though it comes with sacrifices. Love in Hollywood demands compromise. For Timothée, the compromise was silence. For his partner, the compromise was invisibility. The relationship faltered because those compromises eventually clashed. The lesson: both sides must be equally willing to carry the burden of fame's intrusion. Timothée in 2025, a new approach. In 2025, Timothée's approach to love has shifted. The fallout of his secret relationship taught him that absolute secrecy may not be sustainable, but so is absolute openness. Instead, he walks a fine line, acknowledging relationships without making them spectacles, offering glimpses without surrendering everything. This balance is visible in the way he now interacts with the public. When rumors swirl, he neither confirms nor aggressively denies. Instead, he lets speculation fade, refusing to feed the fire. When paparazzi photos appear, he doesn't play into them, he ignores them. Silence is still his shield, but not suffocation. Privately, those close to him say he has become more intentional about choosing partners who understand the realities of fame. It isn't about finding someone equally famous. It's about finding someone who values privacy as much as he does. This makes secrecy less of a burden and more of a shared strategy. The legacy of his hidden romance. The secret relationship may have ended, but its legacy lingers. It revealed not just Timothée's desire for privacy, but his vulnerability. It showed that beneath the confident actor is a man who longs for love like anyone else, but who fears losing it to the machinery of fame. In a way, that relationship has become part of his story, even without the world knowing the details. It is the reminder that even the most adored celebrities are not immune to heartbreak. That even when you are loved by millions, the only love that matters is the one that feels real behind closed doors. The future of love and fame. The bigger question now is what Timothée's story means for the future. Can young stars in 2025 ever truly have private relationships? Or has the world reached a point where privacy itself is impossible? For Timothée, the answer seems to lie in choice. He cannot control the cameras, but he can control what he gives them. He cannot silence the rumors, but he can refuse to fuel them. His secret romance may have been hidden, but it wasn't wasted. It taught him the cost of secrecy, the fragility of love, and the necessity of balance. As he moves forward, starring in blockbuster franchises, gracing magazine covers, and continuing his reign as Hollywood's most sought-after actor, he carries those lessons with him. In 2025, Timothée Chalamet is no longer the wide-eyed newcomer caught off guard by paparazzi kisses. He is a seasoned star, hardened by heartbreak, and wiser about the rules of love in the spotlight. His future romances may not be entirely secret, but they will never be entirely public either. He has found his middle ground, a space where love can exist quietly, even if the world demands to see it. A love that changed him. The relationship Timothée Chalamet tried to hide may never be fully known to the world. We may never know the partner's name, the full timeline, or the details of their life together. And perhaps that's the point. The secrecy itself was the love story. The decision to hide was the declaration. It was proof that in a world built on exposure, there are still corners where love can remain private. For Timothée, the fallout wasn't just about losing someone he cared about. It was about learning how to navigate fame without losing himself again. It was about realizing that love, even when hidden, can shape you forever. And so, while the world will always hunger for more details, the truth is simple. The secret relationship Timothée Chalamet tried to hide wasn't just a chapter of his life. It was the chapter that taught him how to survive love in the spotlight and how to protect it better the next time.